Okay, so we're talking about 1.3 here. It's the same concept as yesterday, except we're adding rational numbers instead of just integers. Remember, rational numbers are fractions and decimals this time. Before we get started, remind me of the rules. If the signs are the same, what do? We add, and then we keep the sign of the biggest number, right? Well, if they're the same, they're both going to have the same sign. If they're different, what are we going to do? Subtract, and that's where we keep the sign of the biggest number. For vocabulary purposes, as a review, a blank number is a number that can be written as a blank, where A and B are integers and B can't equal 0. Whew. A blank can be written as a blank.
A rational number can be written as a fraction.
A rational number can be written as a fraction.
I had an opposite.
So we have to keep the rules, these rules, in mind when we go to solve these problems. So if I have negative 5, 3 plus 7, 6. Not only do we have to keep in our integer rules, but we also have to keep in mind, okay, I'm adding fractions. When you add fractions, what do you have to do? Okay. They have to have a common denominator. Do we have a common denominator? No. We could butterfly it, but that's going to give us bigger numbers, and we don't want to work with bigger numbers. Is there anything we can change from these fractions to give us the other denominator? Brian?
You can times the 3 and get 6, and then you have to times the 5 to get.
What are we timesing 3 by?
2.
We're going to multiply the 3 by 2, and whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So our new fraction is 10/6, negative 10/6, plus 7/6. When I add fractions, do I add the denominator?
No.
I leave those the same. Okay, now we're into adding. Well, we have to think about it. I have a negative and I have a positive. So if we have different signs, what do we have to do? Subtract. So 10 minus 7,
3.
what's my sign going to be?
Negative.
Why is it negative?
Because negative number is bigger.
The 10 is bigger than the 7. Is 3/6 equivalent to something?
Yes, 1/2.
1/2. Or is equal to negative 1/2. Either one of those is correct. How are such smart children? Alright, try it. We have negative 1/2 plus negative 3/2. In terms of fractions, can we do this?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're both negative.
They both have the same denominator, so we don't have to worry about changing the denominators. We have a negative and a negative, which means what are we going to do? Add. So denominator stays the same. Add the numerators. 1 plus 3 is?
4, but negative 4.
But negative 4.
And also 3.
What else does that equal?
1/2.
2
holes.
2 wholes. 4 divided by 2 is 2,
4.
but we got to keep the negative. So negative 2. Alright, we've got a mixed number and a fraction. Fractions are tricky. They only like to be added to fractions. So what are we going to have to do with that mixed number?
Take the 1 out.
Kinda. What is that called?
I remember. It's when you like add the whole to the other one, and then you multiply the other one, and then you get.
You're getting it. We got to turn it into an
Improper fraction.
improper fraction. Good job, Will. So, to go to an improper fraction, so I've got -1 and 3/8. To go improper, we've got to go around the world. When we go around the world, we multiply, then add. That's what Jeriah was trying to get at. So 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is
11.
so 11. Keep the denominator. So now I have -11/8 plus 3/4. Are my fractions taken care of?
No, you still gotta do the denominator.
My denominator. I gotta make my 4 get to 8. Can it get to 8?
Yeah.
What do we have to do?
Times 2.
They were nice. They gave them nice numbers. Okay, so my new fraction is 6/8 being added to -11/8. Same signs are different. They're different, so if they're different, we
You subtract
subtract. So 11 take away 6,
5, -5, 8, 5.
and my sign is negative because 11 has a greater absolute value than the 6. Good job. Now I have a whole number and an improper fraction.
That's an improper fraction with a whole number. Well,
Right?
you guys turn the 4 into a fraction, and then you have to turn it back to.
Okay, so how are we going to change the 4 to a fraction?
You add a whole number. And
You just put a 1 under it.
then round it back to.
So we still need a common denominator, so we're going to multiply by 2. We'll go right here to the bottom.
Do to the
Gotta
top.
do to the top. So my new fraction is,
8/2.
I'm going to write it over here, 8/2 plus -7/2. Same signs are different.
Different.
If they're different, we,
Subtract.
so 8 take away 7 is,
1.
One half
and it's
Positive because the positive number is bigger.
beautiful. Alright, we can do the same thing with decimals. What's the number one rule when we're adding and subtracting decimals? What do we have to do to the decimal points?
Keep them in line.
Line them up. Good. Line them up. So we've got, I like to plant my decimals first, and then I like to fill them in. So I've got -0 and 75 hundredths, and I've got -1 and 5/10. Same signs are different.
Different.
You got a negative and a
Oh, I thought that.
negative. So if they're the same, what do we do?
Add.
I'm going to get rid of these negatives right here so that I can not get confused. So I'm going to add them. 5, 12, here, no 1, 2. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? Negative, because I've got a negative plus a negative, which is going to equal
A
a
negative.
negative. So my answer is
A -2 decimal 25.
good. I'm going to line up my decimals and fill in my decimals. Boop, boop. 3, 3, 3, 7. Am I going to add or subtract? Why?
because they're both negative.
They're both negative, so I'm going to add. So 3 plus 7 is 10. Bring down my decimal. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6.
So s-
Positive or negative?
6.
Negative. Good job. Where's the decimal in that 4?
Behind the 4. Okay. And 2 goes behind the decimal.
So I can plant my decimals. Am I going to add or subtract? Why am I subtracting?
There's different.
Okay, my signs are different. Is my answer gonna be positive or negative?
Negative.
How do we know it's negative?
Because they're both negative.
Good. Alright, y'all try number 6. We're gonna plant the decimals. We're gonna add or subtract them. Why am I subtracting? Because they're different. Now go next door. Get 10 more. 10 minus 9 is 7. Bring down my decimal. Is it positive or negative? Positive. My answer is 0 and 75 hundredths. It says the table shows annual profits in millions of dollars of an online gaming company from 2013 to 2017. Positive numbers represent gains, negative numbers represent losses. Which statement describes the profit? How are we going to calculate the overall profit?
Add them all.
We're going to add them all together.
And divide that halfway.
But you're not doing the average. We're just adding it all together. Should we put all of our negatives together and all our positives together?
Yes. Yeah. It makes more sense.
Yeah, let's add our negatives together and let's add our positives together, and then we'll bring the two together. Let's add our two negatives, because those are, when they have the same signs, what do? Add. So we have 1.7 plus 4.75. So we get 5, 14, 6, but it's negative. And then I have 1.7, 0.8, and 3.2. I get 7. Wait, yeah, 7, carry the 1, 17.
Decimal 5.
So I have, now I gotta combine those two. So I have this plus this. What do I have to do there? We're adding it, but we've got a negative and a positive. So what do we do with that? We subtract. So we have 6.45, take away 5.7.
0.75.
Is it positive or negative?
Positive. Negative. Yeah, positive. Negative.
Which one was bigger? Here or here?
Negative.
So this negative, does that represent a loss or a gain?
Loss.
So we lost $750,000. And that's it for 1.3.
Yay.